and it was that violent in Brindley Castle, I moved fucking back. Anyway, are we ready for our next act, ladies and gentlemen? Well, clap your hands and stamp your feet for the next act, Lady Ha Ha.
Hello. Could you all just do me a favour to start off with? If you're able to, could you just stand up? If you're able to. Fantastic. It's not more advertising if I sit down there. So I am disabled and I will be reading from my notes. A lot of people you'll see will write their notes on their hands and arms, but since 2020 I've actually been quite fond of washing my hands after I go to the toilets. I do have a lot of medical illnesses, quite a few, and quite recently I actually had to have part of my funny bone removed. So part of the reason I'm here is to check if I'm still funny. You'll let me know on that one, I don't know. So the reason I had to have that done is because I can only feel part of this hand, so from there, I have no feeling there. It's not always a bad thing though. Most men will know why it's not a bad thing. Now, on the other hand, quite literally, that is not bone. There's no bone in that thumb. That is all metal. I call it my titanium thumb. I lost use of that by opening a packet of sponges. The softest thing in the world. It's really annoying, but I spent a couple of years in splints, and the doctor said to me eventually, you know, we're going to replace it with a titanium bolt, and we're going to do that. What position do you want it to be left in? And I said, well, as long as it can hold a coffee cup, I'll be all right. But I have found out since then that now that it's in that permanent position, next time I fist someone, it's going to be a fucking good time. Now, with all of my illnesses, unfortunately, you know, there is a lot of chronic pain with that, so I've recently been looking into medical marijuana. The clinics over here are really expensive. It's worth it, but I didn't know whether it would be worth it or not. So I was looking into it, and I actually found that the trip to Amsterdam was going to be cheaper than going to a cannabis clinic. And since I had issues with it in the past, I thought that I'd go somewhere and see how I got on with it. Everyone was saying it was great. But before I went, I decided to have a word with my friend now. She's a dominatrix and she works all over the world. But she does spend a lot of time in Amsterdam, and we've got a lot of similarities, so we're having a coffee and a chat. And I said, well, I'm going to Amsterdam to try out medical marijuana. She went, oh, well, my sugar daddy's paying for me to go to Dubai and Saudi Arabia. And I thought, well, at least one of us is going to get stoned. So we did end up going to Amsterdam, and it's great. I went with my sister. Thankfully, my mobility scooter had good brakes, otherwise I'd have ended up with a soggy Rizzler in the canal. But my friend had suggested that I try out this bar. It's a gay bar, and it's got a cat, and the cat drinks out his water out of this cocktail glass. Now, that sounded perfect to me, because one, I like the gays, two, I like cats, and three, sometimes I drink water. So I wrote the name of the place on my hand because it was in Dutch, and there was no way that I was going to remember it. And we get there, and my sister says to me, right, we've got a route, we're going to try this calf, this calf, and this calf. And I was like, right, I really want to see this bar that said, sure, up and it's more cake. And I did. But the problem is when you're eating edibles is you get the munchies. So you turn around and eat more edibles. And it's a vicious cycle. So being stoned, I did notice that no one was paying attention to me in the mobility scooter, and getting around was quite hard. But they were paying attention to these bike bells, and everywhere was selling bike bells, tacky little bike bells in every shop. So we went into this one shop, and some of the stuff on the shelves, the wibbly wobbly, vibrating, gyrating, everything, I wanted it all. But I just bought a bike bell. And, you know, we are going around, and I said again to my sister, and she reminded me to eat some more cake, so I did. And at this point, I had a lot of cake. But I did spot the bar. And I lifted my hand up, and I pointed, and I read the letters from my hand. P-R-I-K. Prick! Now, the name of of the bar isn't that funny. However, the problem was, with me being so stoned at the time, there was a man standing between my finger and the bar. He didn't speak English. He understood the word prick very well. He didn't understand that I was trying, no, it's the bar behind you, it's the bar behind you. Anyway, I did what anyone would do, and I left the country in embarrassment. I kept back on the boat, and I was like, oh shit, I didn't actually buy much for myself, I was a bit too busy eating cake, as you can see. And I decided to go through what the stuff that I'd bought. I bought people tacky things from there because that's what I like to do, and I got the bike bell out, and I realised it wasn't actually a bike bell, it was a cock ring. Very appropriate, because at the time I was feeling like a bell end.
Hey.
I was definitely the prick in that scenario. It also reminded me of the time that I went to Cork to go visit my sister, because I'm half Irish. Now, Irish people, as most of you know, they've got little words for things that don't mean the same thing over here. And, things like the word crack, it means happy, good, nice things. So when I saw a place called Kelly's Crack, I was very impressed to find out that it was a brothel. Now, we did go on our honeymoon to Spain. It was fantastic. Well, kind of. I was expecting to, be all golden sun-kissed goddess on the beach, but in the run-up to going to Spain, I'd had this nasty chest infection for ages. And I'd been on 5 rounds of antibiotics. Now, if you've been on antibiotics for a while, people will know that sometimes induces thrush, especially with all the medication I'm on. So I'm in Spain, on my honeymoon, and I've got thrush. It's not nice. The other problem with that is, I'm in Spain, I don't know how to ask for thrush medication in Spanish. So I go down to the local Euro shop and I type it in on my phone in Google Translate, and I hand my phone over to the lady at the counter, and she goes, oh, see. And I'm like, oh, brilliant, someone understands. But she brings me back this big bag of birdseed. Pigeons were happy, chuck not so much. So I then went on and I found an actual pharmacy, and I was like, oh, okay, right, so Google Translate is not my friend here. Not doing that again, and I'm going to have to stand up for this, but don't worry, you guys don't have to. But I get there in front of the counter, and I'm like, Fuego! Ah, itchy! And the woman just looks at me and goes, you want Caniston? She spoke better fucking English than I did. And the stuff over there is a lot stronger than it is here, so 1 dose and it cleared up fantastic. But whilst we were over there, it was also my husband's birthday, and not being able to give him the happy birthday that I wanted to, I tried to think of other ways that I could just make it a happy day. So when I had been in the Euro shop, I had picked up a pack of candles, and we went down to the restaurant in the morning for breakfast, and I filled the breakfast muffin with all of these little candles, and I lit them all. Once again, language tripped me up. They were the inextinguishable ones, and it wasn't even the good cake from Amsterdam either. So I'm sitting there now. My name is Sam, but I'm not a fireman. But I do know how to put fire out, so I picked the cake up and I threw it in the pool. The aqua-sized ladies weren't very impressed. I don't know why. They had just been complaining about how cold they were. Anyway, thank you very much.